Hi beauties, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to try out the new concealer from Huda Beauty, and I'm also going to try out the stick foundation. This has been out for quite some time, but it's my first time trying it out. So if you'd like to find out my first impressions, then just keep watching. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me for today's video. And if you're new to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your post notifications. That way you won't miss any of my uploads. So it's been a while since I have filmed. This is, I think, maybe the first time since I've gone this long without posting a video that I can remember. I've just had a ton of things going on, both personally, professionally. It's just been a lot lately. I went on vacation and I hadn't pre-filmed. I was hoping I'd be able to, and it was just the struggle. The struggle was real. Anyway, I wasn't able to do that, and I'm sorry. It's actually the 4th of July weekend, and I am wearing my 4th of July inspired shirt. So happy 4th to everybody. Let's go ahead and start talking about this concealer, because that's what's new, and it is the Faux Filter Luminous Matte Concealer, which is quite interesting. Matte, but luminous? Really? And it is a liquid concealer. I did open this already because I wanted to test the shade. I chose the shade Caramel Corn in 5.1N. I have worn the previous concealer before, and I want to think that I was wearing the shade Granola. In store, I decided to go with this one. It looked like it was going to be a little bit deeper, and so I decided to choose this one. Even once I got this home, I thought it looked a little light. But I will tell you guys, this ended up being the same shade as the shade Tan in Tarte Shape Tape. But I'll show you guys that in a little bit. So this is what the concealer looks like. And my lighting may make it difficult for you to see the actual shade. It's a brightening shade for me, so it's a little bit lighter. I really like the packaging. It's got hashtag Faux Filter Concealer on the bottle here. It's a frosted plastic container. And I'll go ahead and show you this as well. The applicator is not a doe foot, but it is a pretty wide applicator, and it's sort of bent or curved. I said, well, you know, if I'm going to try the concealer, now might be a good time to try out the foundation. And I picked up the shade Gingerbread. It is a buildable coverage foundation stick is what it says. It is the Faux Filter Skin Finish, and it has 12.5 grams, I guess, and 0.44 ounces. And it says it's natural finish, buildable coverage, waterproof. I didn't watch that many reviews of this, but I remember when this came out, everybody who seemed to try it really liked it. I actually have swiped it once to test the shade because my plan was to return it if it didn't work. So I wanted to at least try the shade out to see if it was going to be a pretty good match before, you know, holding on to it to film this video. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, I'm going to start with the primer water from Smashbox. I am a little bit more tan, so I actually think, I'm sorry that these are jingling here. I'm a little more tan because I went on my little vacation with my family and I got a little bit of sun, and I actually think that might help this foundation. I hope it does anyway. It matches really well, but it's a little darker than some other foundations that I use. But I actually thought this was the right shade for me because it would work for me most seasons. This is the Milk Primer. It has SPF 35. It's from Beekman 1802, and I've been raving about this lately, and I really like this one. This one works pretty well with my skin, so I felt like this would be a good one to use. I'm just gonna put it on like lotion. I saw somebody else film a video and they put so much of this on and it just looked so heavy when they were done. So I'm gonna try to keep it kind of light. But this is the Gingerbread, so let's see here. That's really good. Good match. I'm going to go in with my brush here, my Shiseido brush, with just these few swipes. I want to see how it blends out with a beauty blender as well. So let's just do the brush first. I just don't want it to be super heavy, so I don't want to put too much on. Oh yeah, this is a really good match. Wow. I'm pretty proud of myself. Picked a good one this time. Oh, this looks really good. Okay, very, very skin-like. All right, before I add more on this side, let's go ahead to the other side. And we're gonna go with the Beauty Blender. And I'm sort of not putting a whole lot here because I know I'm gonna go in with concealer. And we'll build up. I'm just curious to see how this blends with a sponge. I'm just trying to keep my bracelets. I'm gonna just take off the bracelet that I know is making all the noise. That's one of the reasons I don't end up wearing that one a lot. It's just very noisy. I see more coverage with the brush than with the sponge. I don't know if you guys see that too, but I think I can definitely still see more over here than on this side. So let's just add a little bit more. But either one works. Like sponge, it blended out seamlessly. It just seems like it's a little less coverage. Both look quite skin-like. So let's just add a little bit more. But not too much. And we'll just use the brush. Because I know me, because of the stick foundation, I'll probably use a brush more than I will a sponge for this. So now let's go on to the concealer. And again, this is the Caramel Corn shade. And let me show you first, before I put it on myself, let me show you. This is the shade on my hand. It looks quite creamy. And it actually is a little deeper than how it looks in the viewfinder. And I'm going to also use this Tarte Shape Tape. This is the creamy one. When I checked it before, I was using the regular one, so I don't know how close this is going to be. Okay, so this looks a little bit lighter. It looks just a smidgen lighter than this one, but they're very similar. So that gives you an idea of what the two look like. Very similar. So it's going to look a little light when I apply this. I can tell you that now. My Tarte Shape Tape is a little bit light too. That's just kind of how I like it. I think it's really good. I think it's a good shade match, but I'm starting over here because I want to try the sponge first. This was my sponge side. So let's do this side. I tested the shade and like swatched the shade, but I hadn't applied this to my skin. Wow, okay. That's pretty good. I didn't put on a lot because I wanted to see how good the coverage would be initially, but it's pretty good coverage for the small amount that I put on. And you can see what it looks like here versus my other eye. I don't see it settling in my fine lines. It looks quite natural. So far so good. Let's do the other side, and I'm also going to highlight my nose a little bit later as well. Okay, so now we're going to use this brush. This is brush 56, and the handle is the older handle, but it's sort of like a foundation brush, but I like to use it for concealer. But it's from the Sephora collection. Okay, just like before, I feel like it's a little bit more coverage with the brush, but the application looks good both ways. No difference. So let's go ahead and apply some here. It's got a strange smell, like paint or something, but not too strong, but I do smell something. I'm gonna add a little bit more, and I'm gonna use my sponge. Even though the brush has more coverage, I like to use a sponge when applying concealer. Oh yeah, I like how it looks on my nose. And I may turn down my lights a little bit. It seems a little bright. I'll turn them down a little bit. But as I said, if you're looking like for a shade reference for this concealer, it really is very similar to the shade Tan from Tarte for Shape Tape. Very, very similar to that. So one of the reasons I turn my lights down is I can see this kind of radiance. It's very luminous and radiant, but not shiny. But when the light is striking it, it is giving off this kind of radiance. So I think that's the luminous matte that it's saying. So as you wear it throughout the day, I don't know how it's going to wear. I don't have time for a full day wear test, but I will leave comments down below to let you guys know how it wore. I'm going to wear it longer, but I just won't have time to come back and check in today. But I will leave comments down below and tell you if it lasted all day or how it wore. Okay, so be sure to check there. So let's go ahead and use, I don't even think I meant to do this, guys. I just happened to. This is the Huda Beauty Banana Bread Powder. It was the powder I had over here, and it was the one I grabbed. So that's perfect. I can see how it works together. It looks like this. I really love the color of this powder because it's got a slight yellow tint, but it is just like the name. It's banana bread. So it's almost like bread versus banana. So I like that the powder isn't super yellow. I'm gonna take this La Mer brush and apply the powder to the rest of my face. I want to do my brows and just chat a little bit, but I'm gonna actually complete my entire makeup look off camera and come back and let you guys see how it looks at the end. But I did want to mention that I have been missing in action for several weeks now, and that's unlike me. I'm gonna leave timestamps down below if you want to skip ahead. I've been missing in action, I think now for at least 3 weeks. I haven't posted a video, and that's totally unlike me. I'm usually on time with my posting, but lately it's just been very difficult. I have been super busy at work, more so than normal. Also, my mom she scheduled a vacation that she invited me on after she'd scheduled it. It's one of those type things. We went on a similar vacation last year, so this might become an annual occurrence. But she scheduled it and then contacted me, and I was like, sure, I think I can figure out a way to go. But it was not a good week for me to be away from work. Great to get away, but it was sort of different. It was at a difficult time, so I was dealing with like a lot of stuff at work at the same time that I was trying to kind of prepare to go out of town. You guys that have been following me now for a while know that for the last like almost 3 years now, I have been living here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and then I have been working near the Raleigh area, so I have been staying there during the week and traveling home on the weekends. So I'm only able to film on weekends just based on that. And my daughter is here, so I had to come here, get her, take care of my dogs being boarded, then travel to Virginia where we vacation. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I have things that go on in my life too, just like everybody else does. When you do have things that are happening, work, family situations, just personal stuff in general, it's really hard to stay on top of YouTube. So I'm hoping that there'll be a day when I'll be back in one city and life will be less complicated for me and I can do things that I enjoy. If I choose to do anything else that's not film related, like if I go out with friends or on a date or any of that, then I really have to always figure out, okay, well, when am I going to film if I'm out doing other things? And I think that that might have even happened recently, where I went out and I was doing other things, and so I didn't have time to film one weekend, and so I just kind of got behind. So just bear with me. There'll be times when I want to do something else. I love this and I really get a lot out of it. I really love to do this, but I also like doing other things. So I'm trying to figure out a way to balance this YouTube channel and other things that I enjoy doing as well with other people. It's definitely hard to do sometimes. I went to see Hamilton a couple of times. I went with my daughter and then I went with a friend. And I really enjoyed this play, and it's so funny, I really didn't get into it when it first came out and was out on Broadway because I didn't get to see it. And so now that I've seen it, I've been going to Amazon Music. I feel like I have a link to that as well if you guys want to sign up, but I have been going to Amazon Music and I was able to listen to the entire album, and now I'm like learning all of the music from Hamilton. It's just funny. I'm so late to the game, but it is so good if you like musicals. If you enjoy musicals and you want to learn a little bit about history at the same time, it's a good one to go see. So now I'm gonna try to do more things like that in the future, like go to more musicals. I've done it before, but I just haven't made time for it in recent years, and so I really had a good time when I went. I finally got my brows threaded. You guys know I was trying to let them grow, and so I haven't been threading them, but then I just got tired and I just decided to thread them. It looks so much better when they're threaded, even though sometimes they thread them too thin, but they look a whole lot better. Okay, let's take a look at this. Want to take the powder off, and let me set the brows. My Anastasia brow gel, so good. I'm really liking both of these. I know I'm still pale right now, but just after powder, they both look really good. The foundation does look quite skin-like. I'm excited for how the initial application looks. I'm interested to see how it's going to look throughout the day. Is it going to be long wearing? I'm oily in the T-zone. How's it going to work with my combination skin? This concealer, I think, did a pretty good job. I think with the two kind of applications, it's done a pretty good job of covering my dark circles. I see a little bit of a shadow, just a small amount, a hint, but not too bad. Lately, I have been living with, you know, the shadows peeping through a little bit just to keep from over applying concealer. Like, I just don't want it to be so cakey. So I'll live with it not being completely covered. But I am gonna try to use my like color corrector more to sort of compensate for concealers maybe that don't have the best coverage. But I wanted you guys to get a good idea of how well this would cover, so I did not use a color corrector. I am in my late 40s. I do have fine lines here, and they are going to show sometimes with concealer, so I am seeing them, but definitely not accentuated, and I'm not seeing any creasing. And when I say creasing, I always explain that sometimes it'll bunch up on your eye. Concealer does. That's what I consider to be creasing, not just getting in your lines of your wrinkles. I mean a bunched up crease, and I'm not seeing that. So I think this looks pretty good. I'm gonna complete my makeup look off camera, and I will be back to give you my final impressions of the concealer as well as the foundation. So I'm back. I'm actually not going to go over everything that's on my face because I'm filming a video after this one about products that have been discontinued that I wish would return. So a lot of what I have on my face right now are products that you can't get anymore. So let's just talk about everything. I really like what I'm seeing in the viewfinder, and you guys can comment down below about, you know, what your thoughts are. I think that the concealer is very good. I see the radiance and the brightening effect that it has given me in the center of my face. So I really do like that. I'll zoom in a little bit. So we've zoomed in. So let's kind of take a closer look here. So I think that my under eyes, I'm looking at the viewfinder and I'm looking here in the camera, and I think that my under eyes look pretty good. I had to apply like 2 applications, but I didn't put on a ton of concealer. I wanted to put on a reasonable amount to give you guys a review so that you could see what it looks like with a normal amount. I have dark circle issues, so I need a little bit more than the average person might need. If you don't have a dark circle issue, you probably could apply less than I did. So I have dark circles. It did a pretty good job with the amount that I applied of covering my dark circles. I can see a little shadow here, and maybe here I see a slight shadow. I think if I had gone in with a little bit more, I could have covered those. But again, I didn't want to over apply and it start to look cakey. I'm definitely not getting any type of cakey feel. I think that my under eyes look pretty smooth, like it's not indented or sunk in. Where my dark circles are, it did a good job of smoothing my under eye. The lines underneath my eyes are not accented, like I can see them. I am in my late 40s, as I mentioned, so I can see them, but they're not pronounced. They're not more pronounced as a result of the concealer. So that's wonderful. And I definitely see this radiance and luminous appearance in the center of my face. So it is certainly giving me that vibe. So that's the concealer. I like the way it looks. Again, I will comment down below and let you guys know how it wears for the rest of the night and tell you if it held up. But this is pretty good. Like, this is very, very good first impression of this concealer. This is good. I can see myself reaching for this frequently. I will definitely reach for this again. I'm gonna test it out next week and just try it every day and see how my under eyes look. But what I'm seeing right now looks amazing. Like, I really like how it looks. It looks just as good at the moment underneath my eyes. It looks just as good as my Shape Tape looks. Like, it's very similar even to the creamy, because the texture was sort of like the creamy. But I'm not sure if this luminous appearance that I'm seeing, I don't know that Shape Tape does that or not. I just know that it's giving me a smooth under eye similar to my Shape Tape, but I don't know that I would consider it to be Shape Tape. I just know that it's performing wonderfully right now. So very good first impressions. I will comment down below and let you guys know how it wears throughout the day. And the foundation stick, I am pleasantly surprised. The first thing that I'll mention is I think this is a really good shade match. I didn't apply that much bronzer today. I do have some on, but I didn't apply a ton. And it's not overly like bright. My face, it blended in really well. I put powder on, and of course that lightened everything, but once I use my bronzer and then apply the setting spray, it has brought down the powder and the shade match is perfect. So Gingerbread is my shade. I don't want to roll the stick up to show you guys how much is in this, but hopefully this will last me a good little while. The foundation seems to be giving me like a natural finish, not necessarily luminous or matte. It feels very lightweight on my skin, as if I don't have on anything. The same thing applies with the concealer. Like, I'm not feeling like I have a lot of makeup on. This is definitely worth the hype, the foundation stick. And I'm not sure what other people are saying about the concealer so far. I didn't watch any reviews. I just knew that it was a new product at Sephora. I am giving this concealer 2 thumbs up as of right now. It will have to melt off of my face for my opinion to change. But right now it looks really, really good. So thank you guys for joining me for today's video. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I will respond. And if you've not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button before you leave. So I'll be seeing you guys again very soon in my next video. So until the next time we meet again, this is Savvy signing out.